Hello, my name's Jeanette Brown and I'm the creator of Life Journal, which is an online course teaching you skills to coach yourself to a more fulfilling and meaningful life. Now, what I want to talk today in this video is about the latest epidemic that many people are going through, and that is the loneliness epidemic. It's no surprise given the uncertainty and chaos of the last few years with the pandemic and with the lockdown and social isolation that many people had to go through. I live in Melbourne, and Melbourne is regarded as the city that had the longest number of lockdowns in the world. And the only relief for people, well, many people were living alone during these lockdowns, and the only relief for people was really the exercise once a day and getting out shopping again only once a day. So there are many people who were feeling alone and also feeling lonely. Now, do you know that there's a vast difference between being alone and being lonely? Being alone means you're by yourself, so it's a physical state. And it actually has many benefits. It gives you an opportunity to be able to unwind, reflect on your life, look at your purpose, your meaning, your values, the directions you want to go. Now, being lonely, on the other hand, is a very different state. It's a psychological state. Now, what I'm going to talk about here today are two different aspects of loneliness. Firstly, loneliness means a lack of connection and lack of meaningful relationships with other people. So when you're lonely, you are craving meaningful connection in other relationships. But there is also the other aspect to loneliness, and that is when you are disconnected from yourself. In this case, you're lacking purpose, meaning, direction. You're not aware of the values that guide you in your life. So really, I suppose the question is, if you are disconnected from yourself, how can you then become connected with others? What can be done here? Now, I have written an article on 4 ways to deal with loneliness, and you're very welcome to read it. Click below to read the article. But I'm also going to talk to you here about some things that you can do to help deal with loneliness if you are living with loneliness. And it's really hard. I get it. So hard when you're feeling lonely, and particularly if you've been feeling lonely for a long time. I mean, we all feel lonely at times. That's just part of human nature. But it's when you have an extended period of loneliness, you're really living with loneliness, that it becomes a significant health threat to you, actually, and it can wreak havoc with your life. So what I'm going to talk to you now are about some steps that you can take to deal with your loneliness. The first thing is to acknowledge that you're lonely. And if you are saying, yes, I am living with loneliness, that's a great first step. It means that you're aware that there's something not right and that you really want to and need to do something about it. Unfortunately, when you're feeling lonely, it's really hard to move on, and you actually end up staying stuck. Very, very hard to take those even first small steps. But what I'm going to suggest here is that if you admit and say, yes, I am living with loneliness, then acknowledge that and accept it. Don't be harsh on yourself. Don't judge yourself. Be kind to yourself and say, yes, I'm living with loneliness and I do want to do something about it. But I suggest that you work on something else first. And I suggest that you look at the values. Now, what do I mean by values? Everyone has their own individual values. That is how we live our life, how we are true to ourselves. It's like our compass that guides us through life. So working out your values can be a great first step in becoming more self-aware, more developing a greater understanding of yourself and what really can motivate you and make you feel engaged in this world. Now, in my Life Journal course, I have an activity on how you can work out your values. Now, it doesn't take very long, but it's actually a really good activity and many people have done it. I'm really hopeful that some of you will try and do that activity if you haven't done one like this already. If you click below, you'll be able to access my values activity from my Life Journal Journal course, and you're very welcome to do that activity. It's a very, very practical, useful activity, and it won't take you too long. Okay, so when you've worked out your values, you say, well, this is how I live my life, this is how I treat myself and others, or this is how I want to treat myself and others, then that's a really good first step, because then you can step back and look at, well, what is it that you do want in your life? You're living your life in alignment with those values, and if you're not, well, that's clearly an opportunity for you to take some action. The next step here is looking at what areas of life you want to improve. And this is where you need to work on what is it that you want in your life in the future. What is your purpose? What is the meaning in your life? What direction can you take? Now, this is where learning to coach yourself comes in very handy. Now, my Life Journal course has a really effective and structured self-coaching model that can help you coach yourself to live a more meaningful life. Now, once you've worked out your values, then the next step is to look at your life as it currently is now. Now, are you living your life in alignment with your values, or is there some action that you can take that will help you connect more with yourself, more in alignment with the values that are really inside you? Now, the next step here, after doing that first activity, is actually looking at your whole life. What are areas in your life you want to improve? Now, if you are feeling lonely and you've been feeling lonely for a long time, then clearly this would be a very important area that you would want to improve. So this is where you start looking at what it is you want in the future. What do you want to be doing, say in 12 months, 2 years, 5 years? How do you want to be living your life? What do you want to be doing? Now, again, my Life Journal course has lots of activities on working out what areas of life you want to improve, working out what is your vision for your life, and then how do you get there? What are the goals you need to achieve to be able to live that life? So what I'm explaining here is actually the structure that is in my Life Journal course. So it's a structure where you are in the driver's seat and you coach yourself to live a more meaningful and satisfying life. You don't need to have a coach helping you along the way. You actually become your own coach. It's a very profound and powerful quality to have, and it's a great skill to develop. In the Life Journal course, you work out what it is you want in your life. You work out the goals that are needed to achieve that, and also how you're living your life in alignment with your values. Then you work out an action plan, and this is where you take those weekly actions, daily actions, they might be very small steps, and you monitor yourself how you are going with those actions, and you evaluate after a period of time. So this is basically the structure in the Life Journal course. And coming from the base of feeling lonely and having been through what we've all been through the last few years, it can be a great basis for moving forward in your life, step by step. So if you'd like to know more about the Life Journal course, please click on the link below as well. But first, I suggest you do that values activity, because even if you just do that, that is one step towards you working your way to a more meaningful life. I hope you've got something out of this video, and I do hope that you do try that values activity. Of course, you may have done one already and you may not need to, but if you haven't, I absolutely encourage you to give it a go. It's really helped me in my life. I started working or clarifying my values a long time ago, and it's helped me through all the ups and downs of life to know that even if I haven't achieved those goals or what it is I wanted to achieve and I've got stuck and all that, but if I'm living my life in alignment with the way I want to live my life, in alignment with my core values, then I know I'm actually living a successful life. Thank you for watching the video, and I do hope you click on those links below.